sand that off. So I got my returns. This is the return coming from the Snowmelt, and this is all soldered and this is all done. So it's 1 inch here, goes up, it's 1 inch here, and then it goes to 1.25 inches. I put an air vent in the elbow on the return, and I'll also have one in the elbow on the supply. And that's just because when these are bypassing, there's really no air elimination. I mean, each of these manifolds has these little, you know, their own, but it won't be hitting the spire vent when it's bypassing, you know. So I figured these things were cheap. I say cheap, they were like 15 bucks, but and the little vents were not bad. So I figured it's just good insurance. It's right at the rise on the return, and the other one will be right at the 90 on the supply. So yeah, so the return for the Snowmelt is done. Everything's tight, it's all soldered, it comes down. Everything here is all tight, and then I left this T loose, so this will be where the supply is. So I'll have a check valve, I'll have a shut-off valve, I'll have my header like this. 1.5 inch header. I want it to be like right about here so that it goes underneath this heater. So I'm gonna aim for it to be somewhere right about in here. Hopefully I can fit everything. As you can see, this is tight, and that's kind of what I've been joking about for the past couple of weeks. This was the only way I could get these things in here. If I put them in straight on, then they're in the way, especially the 1.25 inches with this facing fully forward at you. By the time you come off and do a 90, you're in the lane of the other return. So I had to 45 them. Couldn't really get this at a true 45 because I didn't want it hitting the wall. I got it as close as I could, but no big deal. I mean, this still, you know, is okay. I probably could have brought this out a little bit further. I probably should have waited before I soldered that piece on there, but I really didn't want to be soldering around these things, which already I'm gonna have to try and solder this on once I get everything on. So anyway, next zone here will be for my concrete slabs, the basement and the garage. So this is all soldered, comes up, goes over, goes back here, another air vent because this is the return, and comes down, and then that will connect down to this return. I have to scribe that piece of wood yet to go in there, so I'll just put some 90s, some 45s or whatever, and I'll probably 45 it, 45, 90, come down. The supply for that one will be right here, which, you know, when it's in, will set in front of it, but it'll be out this. So the center of it is the same as this. All three of these will be. And then it'll go up, and all three of my pumps are going to be up here, and then 90s with vents in them. And then they'll come over. So this supply will come up, pump flanges, pump flange, 90 with a vent, over, and then turn and go back into that. So the supplies are going to be up tight to the joists. The returns I couldn't take tight because of the gas line back here. The elbows would hit the gas line, so I kept those low, and it worked out good because then I can take the supplies right over the top. So, and I kept these low enough to where they'll clear. Same thing with the supply for the slabs. That'll come up, flange, pump, flange, 90 with a vent right down the middle here, and then that will turn and run right alongside this one all the way down to here, and it'll just kind of go and connect to here. So now what I'm working on is this last return. I've got this soldered in. It's square to the wall. This is all good. This is not soldered yet. This is. I just cut this piece and soldered it in here, so now I'm just fitting, making sure it'll fit, making sure it lines up with the pipe where it comes in here. And then what I'll probably do is remove this whole thing. I like tightening these down at least on these two, on the bench in the garage, because I lock this thing right in the vise and then I can tighten it down. These ones I've been doing right here on the wall. So I'll probably get this figured out, make sure it's good. I need to take this back out anyway to put the brackets on the wall here. So this is good because I get my piece of pipe in and then it tells me right where I need to be. I mark my brackets, I take everything apart, screw the brackets in, put it all back up, solder right on the wall. And it's been turning out pretty good. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I feel like I've got this planned out pretty good here with the slabs and this. These two zones, this is for my staple up, which is the very first zone, is these two, which is my kitchen, my master bedroom, the entryway, all that stuff. And then this is all just for the future. This is all existing hardwood floors, but I don't have any of those run yet, so I am gonna plumb it because they're gonna share the same 1-inch supply. They'll just be turned off, and then someday when I run the PEX, I want to turn it on. All I have to do is purge the air out and turn them on, and I'm good to go. But here, unfortunately, I have this pipe, so I've been standing here for 10 minutes trying to figure out, you know, how can I do this? If I come off with my 1-inch adapter to a T here for the supply, you know, unless I could come up to a T and then maybe 45 it over and out of the way, that's probably what I'll do. My problem is my return and my supply are going to be in the same line, and that's a problem because the return needs a vent on it. So then I can't go over top of it with the supply because the vent will be blocking it. But I think what I'll do, and maybe I'll try and get this done tonight, put a T on here, put a 90 on here, get that piece in just like I did over here, and then I'll come up to my 90, put my vent on, and on this one I'll put a 90, a T, come up, and then I'll have a 90 on it, but it'll be on a 45-degree angle. So the unit's just fired up while I'm making you this video, so we might as well watch them. So they're both on. I can go into the diagnostic mode real quick here. And 0 is for the whole system, and then number 2 is the total BTUs. So this is total. So right now each unit is at 45,000. Each unit's at 40,000. See what I mean? So this is total. Now on this one I can get the individual display just for this unit. So just this unit is flowing 3.8, but they're both flowing 3.8. So I'm in diagnostic mode here, but I can show the total system flow rate. That's number 1. And it says 7 because I don't think it gives you a decimal, but really it's 3.9 times 2. Because if I take this out of diagnostic mode, or actually, I'm sorry, I want to be in it, but instead of 0, I want to go to unit 1, which is this. And then when I'm in there, if I go to my, let's see here, flow rate is number 8. So the flow rate for this unit is 3.8, 3.8. So it's telling me it's 7, but really it's like 7.6. You know, almost 8. So the other cool thing you can do here is, this is for the system. I can go back down and this is the total BTUs being used. Over here I can also put this unit in diagnostic mode. Okay, and if I go to number 27, that'll show me what stage of modulation it's in, 1 through 4. So these are both, oh, now this one just dropped to stage 1. So the lowest modulation. And that's because that tank's up to 129, and my BTUs are only down 15 a piece. Now, depending on how long it takes that tank to come back up, you'll see one of these will drop off and turn off because it's below 15,000. They need a minimum of 15,000 to turn on. So, but usually the way I have this set up, the pump turns off. The aquastat turns everything off before the second one really has a chance to turn off. So we're down to 27,000 BTUs total in the system. Okay, so it's off. See how that one went off first, but this one's still on. So this one was already getting ready to shut off. And they rotate. So right now this is the parent and this is the child. And after either 12 hours of operation or 100 cycles, they'll switch. And this will be the parent and this will be the child. With this setup I have here, it really doesn't matter because I'm pretty much always using both of them because that Takeo 13 pump is powerful enough to give me enough flow to always kick them both off. But now they're off. So yeah, you got to see them. You got to see them both run here while I'm talking to you. So here, since this is still in diagnostic mode, I can actually show you if you go to number 7. So total in this cycle, it's been 90 minutes. So after 720 minutes, it'll go to the next rotation. So it's only been 90. I mean, these things only run for like 3 minutes every hour. I mean, it's like, you know, they really don't see a lot of use. The other thing you can check is number 8 is the number of cycles. So it's been 26 cycles. So, I mean, that's, if you take 90 minutes divided by 26 cycles, it's 3.5 minutes per cycle, and that's almost dead on. I mean, it takes 3.5 minutes typically to recover that 20-gallon tank. So anyway, yeah, that was neat. The other thing I wanted to show you real quick is we've been talking about the wiring. So these Belimo valves have these pre-wired whips on them, and you know, I really can't get in there to change it. So what I'm thinking is I mount my, let me grab it here. Sorry, the kids are being noisy upstairs. I take my aquastats, okay? I have 3 of them, and I was thinking maybe I put them here. You know, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and they only have 1 knockout, but I could drill a couple more into the sides of them, right? So what I'm thinking is I mount this thing here. I'd put a knockout on the side here with a clamp that will bring in, sorry about my crazy camera work, I'm trying to hold the camera and do things here and it's not working. Let me see if I can get this thing to stay here so I can talk to you and do this. So what I'm thinking is I mount one of these here and I bring the Belimo valve into the side of it. Okay, so the Belimo valve goes in, all right, and then out the other side will be my wire up to my pump up at the top. Okay, now the pump needs to be hot all the time as long as the power from the switch is on, but the Belimo valves are only on when the aquastat turns on. So I can do all that in here. You know, these contacts up here are where you connect the power. So I could just wire nut off the power wires before they go to the aquastat, or even just get 2 wires in there and screw them down and, you know, just do it all right within this box. And then I would have 1 wire coming out from the aquastat. And that's where I'm thinking maybe I get tray cable that has like, I don't know how many strands in it, because I would want 1 that's bringing power in all the time as long as the switch is on. So that's the radiant switch, the Snowmelt switch is right here. So when this switch comes on, it turns on that outlet. When that switch is off, it turns off that outlet. Same thing here with the radiant, okay? So here's what I'm thinking. If I could find a box, right, that I could mount right here somewhere. You know, maybe like a 4-gang outlet box that's deep enough for the iDeck relays in it. I can bring my Snowmelt power in, my Radiant power in, everything into that box, okay? Then from that box going out, I could just have one wire that goes to each aquastat. And in that one wire, there will be how many different strands? One will bring power in whenever the switch is on, right? One will carry power back whenever the aquastat's on, because then I can put my relays in there to control my pump. Because now that we figured it out, like each zone's gonna have its own relay because it will turn on the other valves. So, plus I could put a relay in there that controls my tank pump. If if the system's on and running like we talked about and everything, then, it probably wouldn't be much more on these guys, because it only increases the flow a little bit when they're on. When you turn on the second one, I think it goes from 7 to 10 gallons a minute total. I think each of them see 5. So they go from 3.8 to like 5 each. But not a huge lift for these. They're already running. Why not just keep the tank hot? But it would be cool if I had this box here and I could put those switches on it, where if I don't want it to do that, I just flip a switch and it won't activate, it won't turn the power on. I can pull power from here all the time hot for that relay, to power that relay for that pump. I would probably just have to run another wire into that pump, but and put another plug in. But that's kind of what I'm thinking. I don't really have room over here at each spot to mount another box with each zone's relay in it, and it's just packed over here, unless I could put something down here. And that's another idea, if the header is up here, maybe I want these aquastats lower. Maybe I want them down there. I gotta play with that. But wiring will probably be the last thing I do, but it's always good to figure out, because I need to order this stuff. I need to order DIN rails, I need to order switches, and I saw online they make DIN rail blocks that you can have multiple wires coming in and going out, so I could mount like a switch block. I don't want to call it a switch block. I can mount a power distribution block on a DIN rail and have the one hot coming in from the Radiant and then splitting to 2 to go out to each of these zones. Follow me? I'll have to draw all this up. But anyway, yeah, we're getting there. I'm feeling, I'm still, it's I know this, people don't realize this is a lot of work, people don't realize every single one of these pieces of threaded rod has to be cut. These things don't come like this. And people have to realize that, sometimes it takes a couple of cuts or to get these pipes to fit like this. And as I'm a bit of a, I'm probably to a fault a bit of a perfectionist. So, when you take a level on this stuff, these things are all dead crazy level, everything is level. Oh, that's making me look bad, but the handle's loose, but trust me, it's level. All of these, everything, they are all level. I spent a lot of time with that. I spent, I take pride in that a little bit, that this is done right. This, everything is nice and straight and flat, and it looks good, and it's all lined up, and that's me. That's just me. So could a plumber have come in here and done this quicker? Absolutely. Would it have looked as good? Maybe. I don't know, but I don't know. I'm happy with it, and I'm having fun, and that's what counts. So yeah, I think, I don't know, with Christmas coming up, it's good and bad, because with the pandemic stuff, we can't really do anything with family this year, so we're all stuck in the house. I could probably get this wrapped up. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So now that I just came up with the plan for this, I'm going to start working on that, get this last return in, get that valve in, get this all soldered, and then all my returns are done. Then all I have to do is, what I think I'm probably going to do is work from the supplies backwards to here and get all my 90s in to my pumps. So I think that's what I'm going to do. But anyway, I will talk to you soon. I almost forgot to mention, but you probably saw it. So I don't know that I've told you this, but I had an expansion tank here, and I took it out when I was leak testing and fixing with the domestic side. But I started doing some calculations, and I was watching this one Kalefi video on YouTube, and they were talking about like how to size an expansion tank, and I started going through it, and I was like, oh man, mine is way too small. That can't be right. So I found the Amtrol brochure, and they list it by feet of pipe, and they say, oh, well, if you have, 7,000 feet of 1/2 inch or 5/8, then you only need a 30. And I'm like, okay, well, perfect. Now, I did have the wrong one. I needed the red Xtrol 30. I probably could have gotten away with using the old one, but it doesn't have the liner in it. I should have got the red one, the RX instead of the EX from the beginning. I just didn't know any better a year ago when I bought it. So anyway, I'm going to try and sell it or do something with it. It was only like $30. But anyway, long story short, I called Amtrol, and I got an awesome tech, and I was walking everything through with him, and he says, oh, yeah, he goes, so I told him it was for Snowmelt, and that a lot of it was 5/8, but then a whole bunch of it was 1/2 inch. And we ran the numbers. We did it with this and without this. And he said either way, with glycol and everything, because glycol also has a different expansion than water. And he said, dude, you need a 60. You have to have a 60. And I'm like, well, I already have a 30. And he's like, yeah. He goes, he almost guaranteed me that if I just went with a 30, the first time I fired this up, especially the Snowmelt, because it's coming in so cold and being heated up, he told me I'll blow the pressure relief valve for sure. And it's like, okay, it sucks, but it is what it is at this point in the project. You know what I mean? Like that thing was $160. Did I want to spend $160 on an expansion tank? No. Do I want to get this all plumbed in, and then the very first time I turn it on, it's blowing expensive glycol all over the place down here? No. So, at this point of the project, what's another $160? It did make me feel a little bit better. I almost paid $185 for it on Supply House, where I've gotten everything, and PEX Universe had it on sale for like $156 or something, free shipping. So it was $160, I think, with tax and everything. So anyway, I picked it up. I'll put the bigger one in. I don't know what I'll do with that space, and I still have to plumb it. I gotta do something. I saw a YouTube video online where a guy just used like a stainless steel braided line and went over to his, and that's how the company he bought his whole system from sent it. So I don't know. I mean, I don't want to do that. I mean, you know me, what I really would like to do is plumb copper to the wall back there and have it come around and come up, and I can put shutoffs on it and everything. But at this point, I just want to get this up and going. So I very well may just come off the bottom of this with a shutoff so that I can change it. And that was the other kind of crappy thing about having it here. There was no shutoff or anything. So I almost have to drain the system to change the expansion tank, and that's no bueno. That's not good. So yeah, I did find an article online where you can use a regular expansion tank as like a glycol fill. You like pump the tank full of air pressure, and then you fill it with glycol, and you hook it up to your system, and it'll actually keep your system at a certain pressure. I might look into that. I could always do that. I'd probably still want to buy another RX30 and not use the one I have. So, but yeah, I still think I want to put a T or something on here with a shut off, because it needs a shut off. You need to be able to change that tank without draining all my glycol out of here. So anyway, I didn't know if you noticed that. It just showed up today, so I didn't know if you noticed that sitting there. But yeah, and the 60s are big, so they actually have their own stand. They sit on the floor, which is kind of like upside down. But yeah, so that's what I'm gonna be going with. I just don't want to risk it, you know. So anyway, talk to you soon.